It's an early kickoff, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Jacksonville was in Wembley this past weekend getting a win over the Atlanta Falcons, or should I say just getting a win over Desmond Ridder.
God, they look awful, don't they? I don't know how they were 2-1.
This game will be played at Tottenham. Are you concerned at all that Jacksonville has been overseas a week already?
No, I'm not concerned. I mean, look, Jacksonville, you think about going into the season with that division. It's funny, like all the teams in that division right now are 2-2. Like it's a weird division. I thought that, I didn't really say this to a lot of people, but I thought like the AFC beating up on each other and having a tough schedule, maybe the AFC West beating up on each other, and the AFC West playing the AFC. Like I thought the Jags had like maybe an outside chance to kind of sneak in and snag that 1 seed potentially if they had a good year. Now they're 2-2. They've had a couple good games, a couple games. Like I still think they're a somewhat inconsistent team. They've had a couple tough losses, obviously, to the Chiefs. And this past week it's whatever. Like I just don't know. I just don't know that the Jags are a team that is easy to predict. I don't think they're elite, but I do think they have some elite players, and I do think they have a lot of skill position talent on offense, and they have some nice defensive players. So I don't think it's a team we can take lightly, and I don't think the Bills will, because that loss to them was not last year, but the year before.
We got revenge.
Got to get revenge.
Urban Meyer's not even there. We still just need to get revenge.
Yeah, you got to get revenge.
If I'm Sean McDermott, I'm just putting like Urban Meyer fatheads throughout the entire locker room the entire week, just everywhere. The Buffalo, like put them on the doors of the hotel rooms. Everywhere the Buffalo Bills go, I just want them to see the image of Urban Meyer, and I want the image of Urban Meyer to be ingrained in their noggins. Post Mafia comes in and says, "Is this the stadium the Bills modeled the new stadium after?" I don't want to say that they modeled. I think it's inspired, and it's the same architectural firm. So yeah, as you're watching this game on Saturday, it's probably going to be similar vibes to what you'll experience from the Buffalo Bills new stadium when it opens in 2026. One interesting thing that I noted from the Trevor Lawrence postgame interview was when he was being interviewed by the ESPN Plus reporter. I apologize, I do not remember which reporter it was. He mentioned that the team would be switching hotels because the Buffalo Bills would be taking over their hotel this week. He sounded kind of salty about it. Did the Buffalo Bills give the Jacksonville Jaguars some fuel?
Well, and also I think like maybe this is a way to offset them for them being there already, right? And you said, are you concerned with the Jags being overseas for a week already? Well, this is going to put them out of the routine. You have to start up again. I mean, it's probably a coincidence, right? I mean, like the Jags,
gamesmanship from the Buffalo Bills.
I mean, I guess it's like who's in charge of the reservations here? Like whoever did that within the team. Like if you're the Jags, like you got to know you're going to be there 2 weeks in a row. You got to book that well in advance, right? So I'm sorry, but that's just poor planning if you're the Jags traveling secretary. So I mean, look, sorry, I don't feel bad for you.
On offense, they have obviously Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. They have Etienne at running back. They have Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk. Maybe they'll have Zay Jones, question mark for him because of an injury he missed last week. He made the trip to London, but it's not a guarantee he'll play this week. And they also have Evan Ingram. The biggest gripe I'm seeing on social media about the Jaguars offense is their reluctance to take shot plays down the field, which is usually a telltale sign that there's a lack of faith in the offensive line. But they do have Cam Robinson returning this week from his 4-game suspension. So that'll kick Anton Harrison over to right tackle. Cam Robinson will return at left tackle. This is a game where the Buffalo Bills defensive line is once again going to be key. They could have themselves a day once again. And quite frankly, this Buffalo Bills defensive line for this week, especially, I think they need to take some of the pressure off the secondary for a while as they readjust to life without Trey White.
Got to take some pressure off, and obviously this game against the Dolphins should give them plenty of confidence that they can do so. Calvin Ridley should be a guy that the Jags are taking shots down the field too, right? I mean, they have guys like Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley who can stretch the field. Like Kirk's been used a lot. Evan Ingram, Kirk, they've been using Kirk a lot underneath and on like sideline routes, but like he's a guy that can go down the field as well. So it's interesting to me, but this game that the Bills just played against the Dolphins, I know it's a week-to-week lead, should give them some confidence going into this game, especially even if Cameron Robinson is coming back. I think the Bills have to feel like they have an advantage there with their defensive line against that Jags offensive line. Containing Trevor Lawrence, don't let him kind of beat you too much with his legs. He's not like a super runner, but he's a pretty good runner. So that'll be interesting too to see how the Bills handle that, because really to this point, the Bills really haven't faced a great running quarterback yet. I mean, Trevor Lawrence probably be the best one that they've faced so far this year. So that'll be interesting too to see how the Bills fare against that.
Pete Nana comes in and says, Anton's Bennett, right tackle, I'm pretty sure. Not going to lie to you, I have not yet really done too much homework on the Jacksonville Jaguars. It very well could have been Walker Little at left tackle the last couple of weeks. But either way, Harrison will be at right tackle, and then Cam Robinson will be sliding back into his job at left tackle. So I apologize if that was a mistake. Some early looks at SIS for the Jacksonville Jaguars, again, before actually getting into watching them play, just looking at some of their advanced data. 11th in the NFL in 11 personnel. They're going to mix in a little bit of 12, a little bit of 13, 10th in play action usage, 5th in RPO usage. You just mentioned Trevor Lawrence, a little bit more mobile. So the linebackers are going to need to be ready for the play action. The linebackers are going to need to be ready for the RPO. They're 8th in designed rollouts, which is something our defense is going to need to take account for. And all capital letters here in my notes, they are first in the NFL with a screen percentage of 17% usage. They have run 22 screens this year. Their success rate is only 14th in the National Football League, but they have run it the most. So a couple of things that I want to see from our defense. How much is our defensive line going to F up some of these plans, like the rollouts and the RPOs? Our linebackers are going to be key. Can't have them biting too hard. And tackling is going to be really, really important, especially on these screen passes. Got to be prepared for them.
You have to be prepared. And like, to me, the way that the Bills are going to best blow these screens up are getting into the backfield and batting the balls down. I don't know that they're a great, if Lawrence is able to get the ball to Etienne in space and they get a convoy going, regardless of how good that Bills defensive front is, like, I still worry a bit in that regard, as good as this defense is in defending the screen. Once the running back has the ball in his hands, we haven't been great at that. So to me, blowing it up before you can even get to that point, forcing an awkward throw for a screen, or forcing, a throw where you can bat the ball down, to me, that's huge. And the line is certainly more than capable of doing that. But yeah, that's a very telling stat. And I would imagine, seeing how aggressive the Bills' defensive line has been, that the Jags will continue on that trend.
Looking at their defense, they obviously have the other Josh Allen, who is a very, very, very good pass rusher. They have Foye Loakon, a very, very good linebacker. On paper, not really a murderer's row of talent on this defense, but they have been a feisty bunch this year. 4th in the NFL with 9 turnovers, 4 picks, 5 fumbles. They have a +4 turnover differential. Outside of some big plays and some missed tackles, they've had a pretty solid season on defense. Mike Caldwell's got that unit playing hard. They haven't exactly played a murderer's row of teams this year, but they did play the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes went 29 of 41 in that game for 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick. He had 7 carries for 30 yards. But here's the big thing. The big bad Kansas City Chiefs in that offense, I know they're struggling this year. I know they're a little hard up this year. They only put 17 points on these Jacksonville Jaguars. So the Buffalo Bills are going to need to come into this game with the same focus that they have come in to these 3 games previous, because this Jacksonville defense is not a pushover. The Buffalo Bills have shown this year that they can prepare for daunting pass rushers like Josh Allen. I'm confident that they can keep that up. To me, the Bills' biggest enemy going into this week is 1,000% going to be themselves.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is, again, one of those games where you look back and you say you don't want this to turn into the Jags of a couple years back, or the Colts of a couple years. Like, you got to go in and you got to take care of business if you're the Bills in this game. Like, the Jags are a good team, right? I don't want to sit here and put the Jags in the same category as the likes of the Commanders or the Raiders or anything like that, but they're not the Dolphins, okay? Like, I do think the Jags still will ultimately win that division. I still think they have the best overall roster, but this is still a team that the Bills should outclass, more times than not. So cannot overlook them. Agreed, but And I don't think McDermott will let that happen just based on how the way things have been going.
Pete Nana comes in. I feel like the Jags, Josh Allen has a chip on his shoulder against us. Yeah, he might. He's like, hey, he's like, gosh darn it. Maybe more people would know who I am and respect my game if there wasn't another Josh Allen blowing it up on the offensive side of the ball, being on things like the cover of Madden, etc. But here is the one thing that I am worried about, right? And like I said, the Buffalo Bills' biggest enemy is going to be themselves. And I'm confident that Josh Allen has reined himself in. But for the first time this year, we have a tendency breaker. For every single pregame show that we have done, what have I preached? The first thing. Oh, they're going to run 2 deep shell on us. They're going to run 2 deep shell on us. 2 deep shell, 2 deep shell, 2 deep shell. That is what almost every team has run exclusively. Well, the Jacksonville Jaguars, 55% usage of 1 high shell, which is 4th in the National Football League. They are 30th in the NFL in 2 deep shell. They have 34% usage of a stacked box, which is 1st in the NFL, 31st in light boxes, 28% usage of the blitz, which is 11th in the NFL. But again, I thought to myself, like, those tendencies, who have they played? Colts, Anthony Richardson. You're going to want to stack the box against him. The Chiefs, Mahomes. Texans, Stroud, rookie, right? Falcons, Desmond Ritter. That team is all Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. That's who they were focused on. So I went back and I looked at the splits from just the Chiefs game. How did they defend Patrick Mahomes? 30% stack box, which was 2nd in the league that week. 56% 1 high shell, which was 4th in the league that week. They were 31st that week in 2 high usage. 67% zone usage. 18% blitz rate. 4-man rush rate of 82%, which was 6th in the league. So this is a big test for Josh Allen. With this 1 high shell, with a team that's only rushing 4, not probably blitzing a lot, he's probably going to have some time to throw. He's going to have some time to think. Is he going to get downfield happy, or is he going to continue to be patient? Who knows? And maybe the Jags completely flip their tendency. I doubt that the way Josh Allen's been playing. But if there was a game, primetime window, you're the only game on TV, 1 high shell, maybe giving you some more looks down the field than you've been getting in previous weeks. If there was one game where Josh Allen was going to get antsy in his pantsy, this might be it.